Welcome, dear audience, to This Week in Clown World, the video series dedicated to reliving the events of the simulation because yes, it really happened and no, we weren't dreaming. Well, good golly, it's been another week of the dumbest stuff happening, like letting the Soviet Kingdom's second biggest city get into such a state that the army is now getting called in to clear up all the shite because no one else has the ability of picking up some bin bags and putting it in a bin, or having the most life-changing experience that could ever happen to you, and instead of looking out the window, you spend your entire time looking into a camera, being cringe, and then getting big mad when the entire world calls you cringe for it. But here we are anyway, the global clown show hosted by grown adults. So without further ado, let's get rolling down to the circus because oh lordy, it's another week and stuff has indeed happened. So like always, let's go straight to the Soviet Kingdom because it just never ends here. Well, if you're a native man in native lands with a fluency in your own language and you're also partially deaf, you may struggle to understand a foreign man from foreign lands. Because let's be honest, they all speak a little bit funny, even the Australians. You just don't speak proper in it. But if you found yourself conversing with a Johnny foreigner and you asked that foreign man from foreign lands to speak English in England, then my dear audience, I am afraid to say that is a hate crime. Yes, clown story making its rounds across the world right now, because a partially deaf man asked somebody to speak clearly and the foreign man got really offended by that, so legit went and told a police officer about it. What? I mean, there is a lot of layers to this clown onion right now, but my first question is, how sad is your life that you legit go tell the police officer that someone asked you to speak English in England and then the police, the very people who completely ignored the imported child grape gangs and in some cases actually aided it, took this incident so seriously they turned up for a confrontation over the hurty words and then threatened to arrest people for asking somebody to speak English in England. My god, this entire country is run by giant pussies. And it's all headed up by soy-faced Keir Stalin, who people actually voted for, and King Sausage Fingers because good old Liz died to death. And if people wonder why he's called that, check out those chonkos. Yes, I bet Camilla Bowles is one entirely satisfied woman. And you may be thinking, alright, so England hates the English for living in it. And if the natives want to be addressed in their own native language, then you could legit get sent down for 25 days to life in Belmarsh prison. Yeah, free speech my ass, Keir Stalin. But at least in these once fertile lands, it is now Easter, and we can all take a chill from arresting people for hurty words, go crack some eggs on a sofa, go pig out on the chocolate, and watch King Charlie Boy the Sausage Man give his annual exclusively Christian Easter address, because after all, it is a Christian celebration. Well, if you thought that, then you would be wrong. Dead wrong with AIDS, because old Sausages did give that Easter address, and as the head of the Church of England told us about how great the Muslims are. Because as King Porky told us how God cares for people and all that, he also said that Islam does that too, and they're really cool. And that caused a meltdown amongst the Christian populace of the once great nation because the people started asking, what is this guy's fascination with Islam, and why is he always ramming it into everything he does? Like Ash Wednesday earlier this year where he didn't even mention it and instead hosted Ramadan for all his Muzi buddies. Hell, within these once Christian lands, you now can't even pray in your own head close to an abortion clinic and you get arrested for preaching in public too. What the fuck is going on here? I mean, I'm not even religious myself, but this complete erosion of Christianity is a pretty damn concerning thing considering our inherited morals and values are derived from the religion in the first place. I'm honestly starting to think that all these goons continuously kissing the ass of the Islamic religion over their inherited own, even going as far as to disrespect it on purpose, are just religious fetishists. Yeah, you're probably gonna miss Christianity when your 9-year-old gets married off to some bloke who's 40 now, aren't ya? But hey, at least we're going to be everybody's favourite Islamic nation with nukes now, aren't we? And as a professional misogynist, I welcome our new overlords. Anyway, talking of foreign things, Birmingham, the second largest city in the Soviet Kingdom. The place where all the English lived until they didn't. Well, for all of you dirty foreigners watching this video, for about a month now, the bin men there, or trash men if you're American, have been on a bit of a strike due to Birmingham Council going bankrupt and trying to reduce the bin men's pay through shady employment contract changes. And that pissed everyone off, so the great bin men of Birmingham decided to force the hand of the council to pay them more money by striking and not carrying out their jobs, leaving piles of shite all over the streets, and somehow, even though it's overflowing with rats and bin bags and all that, Birmingham only turned into a slightly worse shithole than it already was, which was pretty surprising. And because of the utter dump that place is, the Labour Party, completely devoid of brain cells, have now called in the UK military planners to assist them in getting rid of all the bin bags on the street. What? I mean, surely there is a better use for the UK military right now than clearing up some empty baked bean cans on the side of the road. And even more than that, how hard is it to plan putting bin bags in the back of a truck? You go down the street, you put some of the shite in the back of the lorry, and then you drive to the dump and empty it. What a weird time we live in, and to think the streets of England used to be clean. Meanwhile, in the Supreme Court of the failed state, the simulation just tried to correct this error code, as this week it rediscovered that small bit of binary coding. 0 equals male, 1 equals female. And by that I mean, in the Soviet Kingdom, the trans debate that saw rapists being put into female-only prisons and big fat hairy men slapping their balls all over women's changing rooms has finally been settled. Yes, according to the Supreme Court, men have an outie and women have an innie. There is no in-between. I just cannot believe the stupidity of denying reality that it got this ridiculous. It took the Supreme Court of the UK, the highest court in the entire nation that for some reason can still get overruled by foreign European courts, had to actually declare females cannot give you a salty surprise right in the face and then teabag you after. And like clockwork, the weird creatures who care more about men's feelings than women's safety, even though they've never shut the fuck up about the patriarchy, are now protesting the decision in the heart of the United Kingdom, also known as Londonistan. And my god, what a sausage fest that protest was. But hey, at least I can now say, as it is the position of the Supreme Court, that trans women are not women and can never be one. For you, well, I'm glad I got to say that one now, although I'm probably still gonna get arrested by the police because they're pussies. Alright, so Turf Island is back in full swing and no longer can creepy men dressed as women go trout fishing in a female-only changing rooms. Although the latest protest idea is to piss on the floor when denied access to women's bathrooms. Disgusting slobs, just what men would do. So what else is going on the clown planet? Or should I say, what's going on in Universe of Clown? Because boys, get your Viagra out, we could be clapping some big booty alien cheeks very soon. Yes, those very smartly men and women of the space science put together their really big brains, then pointed their telescope towards the skies, and what they found blew their nuts off. Dimethyl sulfide and dimethyl disulfide. Two chemicals that, as far as our current understanding has it, can only be produced through biological means or through laboratory conditions. Therefore, big booty alien green chicks are confirmed. Well, there's absolutely nothing clown world about that discovery. As a matter of fact, it's pretty damn cool, and I really do hope that those aliens also have their very own lizard people and also an Illuminati. Right then, what's next? Well, someone tried murdering Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania, and his entire family by firebombing their house a few days ago. Well, that's a bit shit. What could possibly drive somebody to do something that retarded? Well, let me check my notes on that one. It was all over the ongoing conflict in Gaza. What in the name of yeehaw lead poisoning is going on here? I mean, everyone has an opinion on who's in the right and who's in the wrong in the ongoing conflict in Gaza. Although all the big brains can see both sides deserve a decade on a naughty step. But to quite literally try and murder an entire family in an entirely different country for events that took place in another entirely different country is some serious toilet brain shite. It's the same kind of toilet brain that got that guy to set himself on fire to protest Israel while living in an entirely different country. And no one even remembers who that guy was. It was a complete waste of his life. Everybody needs to calm the fuck down. And talking of calm, oh boy, isn't the Orange administration's plan starting to work? You know, the tangerine tariffs? The ones that were in direct response to the tariffs other countries placed on the United States, and when they did it back to them, everyone had a meltdown. Well, there's a big old nice pause on them right now, and the markets are beginning to recover. And while the pause is in effect, look who came crawling out the woodwork to smell the coffee of reality. The EU. Now, there are a lot of people out there who thinks the sun shines out of the arse cheeks of the European Parliament. And trust me, I live in Brexit Britain. Every day someone spreads those flabby flaps wide open and gives a good old ring lick. But they are the global asshats of trade. If you don't pay them millions upon millions of pounds per day to be a membership, then you are tariffed to utter death if you want to trade with them. And only after getting a taste of their own medicine, they finally decided that maybe now is the time they should negotiate those protectionist trade terms, because entering a trade war with the United States of America is the dumbest of dumb they could possibly dumb, considering they solely rely on the American military powers to not get their asses steamrolled by the Russian army. Although personally, I do think the tangerine tariffs were a little bit too fast, a little bit too high, and against all their allies. And the orange man should have gone after his enemies before coming for all of his friends, because that just drives all the countries that sold off their manufacturing capabilities into the arms of China even more than before, instead of the United States. But hey, if it works, it works. But away from the Soviet states of Europe, my god, we've reached peak clown world. There is nothing a country, a tribe, a gaggle of geese, or a single man and or woman can do this entire year that could topple the gut-wrenching cringe that came from the US this week. Yes, Jeff Bezos and his dildo rocket sent an all-female flight crew into space, which was more like an Uber to the Carmen line, then back, all in 12 minutes, and the world collectively facepalmed. But how could this be? What could be so cringe about that? Well, here goes. First of all, Bezos' rocket literally looks like that dildo you found in your mum's drawer as a kid. And second, it was an all-female passenger list that for some reason was a feminist milestone, because they all hitched a ride on a rocket that none of them designed or even flew. Yes, says Katy Perry, we're all taking up space. We are women and it is history. Well, that would be really totally convincing if SpaceX didn't just save 2 astronauts from the space station, where, my fucking god, one of them was a woman. Get the fuck out of here with this lame 2010s bullshit. And even worse, Leah, the entire time Katy Perry was up there with Bezos' girlfriend, whose tits are so fake it looks like someone chopped a football in half and sewed them on, was staring into the camera promoting her new tour instead of marveling at the entirely flat earth. This is why we can't have nice things. There are so many deserving people out there who should have been on that flight. And if you want to make it some lame-ass feminist messaging, even though we literally have female astronauts right now, then there are plenty of women across this entire planet who have done noble, honourable things who deserve to be experiencing the Carmen line instead of these bitches. But nah, the only qualification you need is a singing vagina, and it also helps if you nosh off the boss. Big shout out to all my Patreon boys and guys. Every night I dream of us getting sent to gulags for committing hate crimes. Love you all very much, Ling.
Subscribe button.
Is always right.